The grand chandelier cast its opulent glow across the ballroom, each crystal reflecting a million twinkling lights as the orchestra played a waltz that seemed to capture the very essence of elegance and grandeur. The ballroom of Ashford Manor, one of England's most prestigious estates, was alive with the whispers of nobility and the rustle of silk gowns as the guests moved about, their every movement a calculated display of wealth and refinement. Lady Eleanor Ashford, the hostess of the evening, stood regally by the entrance, her keen eyes scanning the room for notable guests. She spotted Lady Margaret Danforth, a prominent figure in the English aristocracy, making her entrance, her arm looped through that of her brother, Duke Henry Danforth. But it was not the arrival of the Danforths that captured the true attention of the evening. From the far end of the ballroom, the massive double doors opened, and a hush fell over the room. There, framed by the opulent doorway, stood Princess Amara of Barbados. Her skin, a rich, warm brown, contrasted beautifully against the ivory silk of her gown, which clung to her curves with a subtlety that was both elegant and provocatively alluring. Her hair, a cascade of glossy black curls, was adorned with delicate pearls, and her eyes, dark and luminous, scanned the room with an air of regal indifference. The guests, taken aback by her exotic beauty, could only whisper among themselves. Amara was a vision of strength and sensuality, and her very presence challenged the staid traditions of the English court. Among the onlookers was Lord Alexander Stirling, the Earl of Coventry, a man renowned for his striking looks and notorious for his rakish charm. His piercing blue eyes followed Amara's every movement as she made her way into the room. There was something in the way she held herself, a confidence and a fire that was unmistakable and utterly irresistible. Amara could feel the weight of the stares, the judgment, the curiosity. She had been prepared for this. Her mother had warned her that the English nobility would be both fascinated and scandalized by her presence. She moved through the crowd with the grace of a lioness, her head held high, her every step a testament to her royal lineage. Alexander found himself drawn to her, like a moth to a flame. He made his way through the throng of guests, his heart pounding in a way it hadn't in years. He had to meet her, to speak to her, to see if she was as intriguing as she appeared. "Princess Amara," he said, his voice smooth and deep as he reached her. He bowed slightly, his eyes never leaving hers. "May I have the honor of this dance?" Amara turned to face him, her gaze cool and assessing. She recognized him instantly. He was the notorious Earl, known for his charm and his many conquests. She had no intention of becoming another notch on his bedpost. "Lord Stirling," she replied, her voice melodic but edged with steel. "I am flattered by your offer, but I must decline." Alexander was taken aback. He was not used to being refused, especially not so bluntly. "You wound me, Your Highness," he said, his tone light, but his eyes serious. "Surely one dance would not be too much to ask." Amara's lips curved into a slight smile, though it did not reach her eyes. "I am here to represent my people, my culture," she said, "not to become a spectacle for your amusement." Alexander's interest only grew at her words. There was a fire in her, a strength that was rare and captivating. "I assure you, Princess," he said, his voice lowering, becoming more sincere, "my intentions are honorable. One dance, and if you still wish to have nothing to do with me, I will trouble you no further." Amara studied him for a moment, then extended her hand. "Very well, Lord Stirling. One dance." As they moved to the center of the ballroom, the orchestra struck up a new tune, a waltz that was both lively and sensuous. Alexander took Amara in his arms, his hand firm but respectful on her waist, his eyes locked onto hers. The dance began, and it was as if the world around them faded away. Amara moved with a grace that was both regal and untamed, her body fitting against his as though they were made for each other. Alexander was a skilled dancer, his movements confident and precise, but it was Amara who led, her presence commanding, her every step a challenge. Their bodies moved in perfect harmony, the heat between them palpable. Amara could feel the strength in his arms, the controlled power, and she found herself drawn to him despite her reservations. Alexander was equally captivated, each turn, each spin bringing him closer to the realization that this woman was unlike any he had ever known. As the dance ended, they stood facing each other, breathless and charged with an energy that was almost electric. For a moment, neither spoke, the intensity of their connection rendering words unnecessary. Then, with a graceful curtsy, Amara stepped back, breaking the spell. "Thank you for the dance, Lord Stirling," she said, her voice steady, but her eyes betraying a flicker of the emotion she felt. "The pleasure was all mine, Princess Amara," Alexander replied, his voice husky with unspoken desire. As she walked away, Alexander knew that this was only the beginning. Amara had awakened something in him, a need, a hunger that he was determined to satisfy. And Amara, for all her resistance, could not deny the spark that had ignited between them. The night was still young, and the ball would continue, but for Alexander and Amara, the real dance had only just begun.